It's time for Declare Your Independence with Ernest Hancock.
Believe me when I say we have a difficult time ahead of us. But if we are to be prepared for it, we must first shed our fear of it. I stand here without fear because I remember that I am here not because of the path that lies before me, but because of the path that lies behind me. I remember that for 100 years we have fought these machines. And after a century of war, I remember that which matters most. We are still here! Tonight, let us make them remember we are not afraid!
Well, maybe we're not afraid, but we're definitely concerned. Lots to be concerned about. You know, there's a lot to talk about. My trip to Philadelphia was very fruitful, and I had a good time, and it's good to meet up with old friends and other fellow activists that are hardcore into it. And Philadelphia is a really good example. They're probably one of a handful of places around the entire globe that are as active as some of the best activists here in Phoenix. And they kind of, there's a comparison to, competition between all the guys there and here. Yeah, well, we did this and we did that. And, oh, yeah, well, we did this. Oh, well, we did that more. I mean, so it's kind of a fun rivalry. But I'll tell you one thing. It's Philadelphia is younger. I mean, we have a lot of people here in Phoenix that are doing a lot of stuff, but we have a lot of people that are, an older generation that are very well melded with the younger generation here. And it's just the average age, I guess, might be in their 30s. Well, in Philadelphia, the average age is starting to get down in the 20s. I mean, a lot of really active young people are doing a lot of good work. And I'm really happy to see that. And I tell you, it had an impact on my speech Saturday. I went for FedStockII. Now, it was, they had some bands there, and they had a float, and it meandered through downtown Philadelphia, which was very busy, as a matter of fact. I was surprised at how busy it was. So we encountered another protest that was doing the same thing we were, going the other way on the street, on the same sidewalk. They were protesting genocide in Armenia by the Turkish government. So that, they're doing the Armenian thing and so on. We're going by, we're exchanging stuff, and they're supportive, and, it was interesting. The main thing is that they had the float in front of the Federal Reserve there in Philadelphia. And I took a little bit of video with my Droid camera I may use later for some stuff that we're doing. But it was one thing that was very interesting. Next door to the Federal Reserve is the public television station. And then across the street from that is the Constitutional Center, where Ron Paul gave his big, thousands of people came to do his speech there at Independence Hall. Well, all of this is in the same area down there. And that's when we brought our big, giant, 14 by 40, whatever, enormous banners that we made, Ron Paul Revolution there. And so I had a lot of fun. A lot of people remember that. So that's where we were, downtown. Next to the Federal Reserve is the public television station, and it has one of those crawlers, that goes across the LEDs. It's like Times Square doing the ticker tape news kind of deal. And I just happened to get my camera, and I'm up, take a picture of that and the Federal Reserve. And right when I'm doing that, what does it say? Land invasion of Libya. French and British troops go in, land invade. Here we go. Troops on the ground. Boots on the ground. Need more boots on the ground. Why? And who's screaming for this from the United States? Our good old friend John McCain. Oh, we got to go invade. We got to get him. Got to get him. And I'm wow. I mean, I guess if it worked before, it'll work again. We'll just keep doing it. Remember during the 2007-8 election cycle, you had Dr. Ron Paul in the debates with the Republicans, and John McCain, I just came from Thanksgiving with the troops, and they want me to give you a message. Just let us win. Let us win. There is no winning. This is not about winning. It's about spending money. It's about control. It's about, it's just, ew. And the empire is going to come crashing down. As we had speakers, like Adam Kokesh and myself and Darren Wolf and some other people addressed the crowd. And when I got up to speak, and I stood up on, it's like a float, like a stage is pulled behind a vehicle. And it was well decorated. It was very cool. I get up, stand there, and I looked out at the crowd. There were hundreds of people there. I looked out at the crowd, and I was shocked at how young it was and how many women there were. There was half the people were women. It's rare that you get certainly an end of Fed rally or, a libertarian-oriented thing or anything political that you have so many women. Beautiful women. I mean, it's just beautiful young people, and salt and peppered with, older crowd and so on too. But, you can tell this revolution is worldwide, and it's the next generation next. Adam Kokesh makes a good point of saying at 29, he grew up with the internet. He knew what it was, how to use it. They're familiar with it. But it's not the same as some of the younger people that, it's interesting for me to look at Adam Kokesh, and he's like one of the, the senior citizens of the millennium generation. But he looks down at the people, and he's making the observation that they're hardwired into social networks. They don't know any other way to communicate. It's all done. And what happens when it's taken away? I think they know that that's a threat. And that's why we're spending a lot of time. The next Arizona Breakfast Club is not this Saturday, but the following Saturday, or the one after that. I can't remember. Anyway, it's not this weekend. And we're in communication with some people that are going to be teaching us about ham radio. But I remember in the mid-'90s when the government and Janet Reno and Clinton and them were going after the militias and all that kind of stuff and control on PGP encryption. And I could see that, they didn't like this internet thing. So we were working on what they call packet radio, to where you can transmit digitally information, emails using ham radios. So I'm going, okay, especially when you're on the receiving end, nobody knows where you are. So I'm going, okay, we need to take a look at this packet radio thing again. So that's what we're going to do. To think that they're not going to shut down the internet or try to control it, or some pages are or are not available, or you can or can't, or you got to pay extra, or whatever. It's just to be naive. Of course they are. In August of 2002, I filed an initiative with the city of Phoenix. Now, the way it works is that you get 3 months, I think it's 120 days, to collect the signatures. And they expire, with that age. You got a moving window, of 120 days. I never started collecting signatures. It just sits there, and I keep filing no activity reports with the financial thing, all the requirements that they have, and it sits there. What it was is the city of Phoenix, a charter change is the city of Phoenix city charter that says you cannot collect any tax revenue from internet transactions. Well, of course, when I did this in August of 2002, they were going, there's no plans to do that, never do that, wouldn't be doing that, can't do that, because Congress had passed, there's a moratorium on doing such a thing for a while. Well, of course they're coming with that. I know this. I mean, I'm not stupid. As brick and mortar, gives way to Amazon and eBay, what'd you think was going to happen? So that's all right, yeah, yet. And it just sits there. Whenever they start to think about it, they're going, whoa, wait a minute, and they may have passed something for all I know. I just let it sit there. There'll come a time to when we'll make use of that. Or not. It's getting to the point now is like, can we hurry up and get to a fascist police state so that we can leave? Is that what has to happen? I don't know. But if we don't make a change, that's what's going to happen. And who's going to stop it? Who's going to rebuild afterwards? Who's going to save us? Well, it's pretty much going to be ourselves. And the next generation, they have far more understanding of what's going on than we do. When we come back, I'm going to talk to you about, some of the things I had to say. One of these days, somebody will put the YouTube up my speech. And some of the other people that were there and the things that happened and the fun that we had. But Friday, there was a peace protest at Lockheed Martin that they gave some really interesting information I want to share with you, things I didn't know, and you will when we come back.